Hi everyone, I'm Rhonda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're brand new. Today we are using my TBR Prompt Jar to help me pick my March TBR. You guys know how this video goes. I'm going to pick out 6 prompts from my TBR Prompt Jar, and then I'm going to pick 6 books from my TBR cart based off these prompts. And then as a bonus, I love doing this every month too, I am going to randomly and blindly select one book title out of this jar of books, and I have to read that too. So I will be picking 7 books for March to read. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about my February TBR. I did not do a good job. I actually was so incredibly busy in February. I don't even know if I read 10 books, to be honest with you. We'll get more into that whenever I do my February wrap up. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I've been yakking long enough. Let's pick out my very first prompt for my March TBR. And that is okay, I need my glasses. Okay, an indie book. Okay, so I need to pick a book that has been independently published by the author, either on Amazon or wherever. And this is going to be a little bit hard because a lot of these books are traditionally published, or maybe they were independently published, but then they got picked up by a major publisher, and I have the not indie books. So what do I want to read? I don't think any of these are independently published. Lucy Score. I think at one time Lucy Score was an indie author, but she has since been picked up by Bloom Books, and all of her books that are being released right now are Bloom published books. Okay, well, right off the bat, I know one book is independently published on Amazon, and that is A Rivalry of Hearts. This is kind of like a fantasy. It's actually, no, it's a romantasy. It is a romance set in a fantasy world. I was looking at maybe reading this this month in February. It just says 2 rival writers, 1 prestigious publishing contract, a bargain of hearts, and seduction. So that is an option. And I don't think any of these down here are independently published. Let's see what's back here. Yeah, now I think this is going to be my only option. Okay, so it looks like the only book that I have that has been independently published on this TBR cart is A Rivalry of Hearts by Tassonia Odette. And this is the first book in the Fae Flings and Corset Strings series. I also have book 2, so hopefully I will enjoy this book and will be anxious to read that second book as well. So the very first book for March is A Rivalry of Hearts. Prompt number 2 is... Oops, flung it at myself. Set in a Small Town. Ooh, this is a good one. I have lots of options. I really want to read another Catherine Center book this month because I want to read some of her backlist. You know, I don't know if this is going to work because a lot of her books are set in the Houston area. Let me see. Okay, this doesn't say if it's set in a small town. I'm going to assume it's not actually because a lot of her books, like I said, are set in the Houston area. Okay, so this is an option. It's not set in a small town, but it's set on a tiny island, which is basically a small town. So this is an option. It's The Sweet Spot by Trish Dollar. Oh, I could also read the second book in the Love Light Farm series by B.K. Borison. That is set in a small town. Okay, so I'm going to pick between these 2 books. Again, the first one is The Sweet Spot by Trish Dollar. This is the second book. This author wrote The Float Plan, which that was quite the tearjerker. And I think this book follows the main character's sister from that book. And this one is just about a girl named Rachel who is fired from a Miami Beach luxury hotel. And then she ends up getting a job at a brewery hotel on a tiny island in Lake Erie. And apparently she comes across Mason Brown, who is a handsome, reclusive man who knows everything about brewing beer and nothing about running a hotel. So apparently they have to work together. So it sounds like it might be a little Grumpy Sunshine and maybe a little bit of work rivalry. I don't know. But this is a good option. And then again, the second book in the Love Like Farms series is In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. And it just says, a grumpy farmer and a no-nonsense social media influencer have another chance at love in this charming comedy. Okay, so this is about Evie and Beckett, and we were introduced to these two characters in Love Like Farms. I read that at Christmas time, and I fell in love with Beckett because he is like the animal whisperer. Animals just kind of gravitate to him, and he ends up fostering some kittens in that book, and they're crawling all over him, and I was there for that. It was very cute. So, you know what, I think I'm going to read In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. I really want to continue with this series. So this is the second book in my March TBR. Okay, prompt number 3 is Freebie, pick anything you want. Yes! I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I am for this. I think I'm going to do something interesting. I think I'm going to hold on to this and pick it at the end. Should I do that? I'm going to do that. I'm going to hold on to this freebie and pick it at the end just in case. There's a book I actually do want to read this month that I've been wanting to get to for the past couple of months that it just hasn't happened. So if I don't end up picking that book from my TBR prompt, I'm going to use this freebie to grab it. So stay tuned for that one. Let's go ahead and pick prompt number 4. Oops, I dropped it. Okay, a random letter generator picks first letter and title. Okay, so what that means is I need to get a random letter generator on my phone, and it's going to give me a letter, and then I need to pick a book whose first letter in that title matches. So let me pull it up. You know, let me turn, actually, you know what? Let me turn this light down a little bit because it is a little bright. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but what did it give me? Okay, it's like you can't see that, but it selected R. Okay, so I need to find a book that starts with the letter R. Nope, 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 nope. Huh, this is not looking good. I do not have any books so far that start with the letter R. Nope, 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 nope. Nope. Okay, that was a big fat bust. None of these books on my TBR cart start with the letter R, so let's pick again. Okay, it selected M. Let's try this again. Okay, oh, okay, well, we have one. We have Magnolia Parks. That starts with an M. We have The Mystery Guest. Metal Slinger. Okay, it looks like the letter M was a better letter than R to pick. I have 3 books I need to pick from. I have Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. This has been getting a lot of buzz. I don't want to read the back of the book. And also, when it comes to some of these fantasy romance books, even if I read a synopsis on the back, I still have no clue what it's about. All I know is there is a girl and there's an island, and then once a year that island opens up to people on the mainland, and they can go to this island, I think, and check things out. I don't know, but I've heard it is fantastic, so this is an option. And then the second book I have is the second book in the Molly the Maid series. I read the first one last year, loved it. Could not wait to get to this one, but I was holding off until it came out on paperback, which it did, I think, last month. So I picked it up, or back in December, I don't remember. But this follows Molly the Maid as she's solving another mystery. Love her so much. She's neurodivergent. I love neurodivergent female main characters, so I cannot wait to read this one. And then next is Magnolia Parks by Jess Hastings. So everyone has read this book. I think it's YA, I'm not positive. But I picked this one up just because I wanted to know what the big deal was. But the question is, which of these 3 should I read? I have a romance set in the fantasy world. I have another romance. I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go with The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. Only because, yes, I love Molly the Maid, but the third book in this series comes out, I believe, next month. Don't hold me to that. I'm not positive. There's a third book that's coming out in the series soon. I want to say it's next month. So for my fourth book in the month of March, and it was a book where a random letter generator picked the letter that the title needed to start with, and that is the letter M. So we are reading The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose in the month of March. I actually just looked this up, but the third book in the Molly the Maid series is called The Maid Secret, and that one actually comes out on April 8th. So I definitely want to read this one in March so that I can be ready to hopefully try and get that one from the library when it comes out. So I cannot wait for that. And then I forgot to tell you guys, but another book I plan to read in March is Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This is the third book in the Rose Hill series, and it comes out on March 1st. So this is a book that I definitely want to read in March as well, and I put it on my little sticky note on my TBR cart just to help me remember. Okay, so let's move on to my fifth prompt in March, and that is going to be, intimidating book. I know exactly what book I'm going to pick for this one. And it is Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is the third book in the Boys of Tommen series, and it's intimidating because these books are incredibly long. So even though this is less than 500 pages, don't let that fool you. These books are pretty big compared to a normal size book. So you can see the difference in the size. And then also too, the words. I don't know if you can see that, but the words in here are incredibly small. So these books are intimidating just because they are so hellaciously long, and I feel like they could easily be edited down to a much smaller book. Anyway, but this is, as I said, this is the third book in the Boys of Tommen series. I read the first two books, I want to say in August or September. Really enjoyed it. The writing is pretty basic, and it's really, this whole series is really just a character-driven series. So these books are about a group of kids who go to Tommen College, which is actually a private school in Ireland. And these books, the first two books were really, really good. I did enjoy them. They were hard to read just because of the content. These are YA sports romances, but I really feel like these are just dramatic books just because of what these kids go through. But in this one, we are following Joey, who is Shannon's brother, and we follow Shannon in the first two books. So here we're going to follow Joey, and then I think his girlfriend Aoife. So I'm going to go with this one. My intimidating book pick for the month of March is Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. All right, moving on to prompt number 6, and that is title begins with the. There's so many options, but real quick, looking at what I have a romance set in a fantasy world, so I guess a romantasy. I have a contemporary romance, I have a cozy mystery, and I have a YA sports romance. So I think we have the romance genre covered. Let me see. Let me go through these books and see what I really want to read in March. I'm going to try and pick something that is not romance. All right, I have picked out 3 books that start with the word the. The first one is The Day Shelley Woodhouse Woke Up by Laura Pearson. I'm not sure what genre this is. Okay, so reading the back, it just says, when Shelley Woodhouse wakes up in the hospital from a coma, the first thing she says is that her husband must be arrested. He's the reason she's in here. She knows it. She remembers what he did, clearly as anything. But there are things Shelley has forgotten too, including parts of her childhood, and as those start to come back to her, so do memories, ones with the power to change everything. But can she trust these new memories or what everyone around her is telling her? And who is the mysterious hospital volunteer who brings her food and keeps making her smile? Is it possible to find your future when you're confused about your past? So this sounds kind of like a general fiction, women's fiction book with a little bit of mystery. So this is a good option. And then I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I picked this one because I have not read anything by this author, and I know she is a much loved author, and she has a new book coming out, I want to say in April or May, called Atmosphere, that I really want to read because it's about women in the space program, I think, in the 80s, which anything set in the 80s, I really want to read. So I definitely kind of want to read this one too. All I know is that this is about Evelyn Hugo, who is kind of a recluse, and she gets this magazine reporter to tell her life story. This is a little bit intimidating just because it is so long. And then also too, I think it's going to be a good one for me to try since I haven't read this author before. So option number 2 is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And then the third book I picked out is The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. This author has the sequel to this book called The Perfect Divorce coming out in April, so I think this would be a good time to read it too. So this is about a woman named Sarah who is a criminal defense attorney in Washington, D.C., and she's really good at what she's done. She has a perfect case record, and apparently her husband's mistress is murdered, and her husband is being accused of the murder. So he asks her to represent him. So that's what this book is about. Sounds very interesting. I think I've shown this to you before. This is the special edition, and I bought it just because of all of the blood splatters. I've heard mixed things on this book, so I'm a little curious about it, but this is another option. So the question is, which of these 3 books do I want to read in March? And to be honest, you know what? I'm going to put The Perfect Marriage up and maybe read that later, or I can read it as one of my mood reads for March because I do want to read this in March. I kind of want to read one of these. So I've been sitting here for almost 5 minutes, no joke, trying to figure out which one I want to pick. But the book that I picked for the month of March, where the title word starts with the word the, is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. If you've read this, let me know what you thought. The reason why I picked this one is I really want to hop on the TJR train and see if she's worth the hype. I have a couple other books by her that I really want to get to, and I feel like this is one of the best books to start with if you haven't read her. At least that's what I've heard. And also, again, she has a book coming out later this spring that I really want to read. So The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is my last pick for the month of March. Okay, so the for real last book that I am picking from my prompt jar, this is the freebie book that I picked out. I told you guys I had one in mind, and that book is P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly. This was my book of the month pick a couple of months back. I've been wanting to get to this book. I just have not had a chance. One of you actually commented on one of my videos and said you absolutely loved it. I've heard nothing but great things, and I've been anxious to get to it, and I think March is going to be the month. The blurb in the book says, in this splendidly bittersweet romantic comedy, enemies forced together by a mutual loss are led on a cross-country journey toward a second chance. All I know about this one is it is about a woman named Maddie whose brother dies from cancer, and one of his last requests is for Maddie and his best friend, who Maddie has a history with, but the brother requests the 2 of them to go on this cross-country road trip together. And they don't get along. Obviously, it's enemies to lover, and I've heard nothing but fantastic things about this book, and I cannot wait to read it. It's probably going to be the very first book that I pick up in March to read. So the 6th book that I am picking in the month of March, and the last book from my TBR Prompt Jar, is P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly. As I told you guys in the beginning of the video, I also do a bonus book. That is where I blindly and randomly choose one book title from this jar, and I have to read it. And it's just a little fun bonus book, and it's a great way to knock off just a random book off my TBR jar. So that is what we're picking next. This is my 7th and final book for the month of March. And please be good. That last book is going to be, oh gosh, try not to look. Okay. That last book is going to be, oh, Delicate Escape. I actually have it right here. Now, I think this book was actually on my February TBR, and I never got around to it. So this is one of those books that I was hoping to read, and I really wanted to read in February. I didn't have time. So this is absolutely perfect. This is the 2nd book in the Sparrow Falls series, and it's by Catherine Cowles. This whole series is kind of like a romantic suspense. It's very heavy. This book is kind of a spicy romance, but it definitely has a suspenseful twist. There's usually a mystery that needs to be solved. There's some kind of suspenseful, thrilling thing that's happening as well in the background. But I read the first book in January, and I really enjoyed it. So I really definitely want to read the 2nd book. This one, you're following Shepherd, aka Shep, and Thea. And it says, the little blurb just says, trust doesn't come easily when you've been running for as long as I have, which is why moving in with a man I barely know is such a bad idea. This whole series follows a group of siblings. They're not siblings by blood. They've all been raised in this foster home, but it was a very good foster home. They had a very loving mother, and they were raised as brothers and sisters, and each brother and sister from this family will get their own book. So I definitely want to continue with the series. I really love that first book, and I cannot wait to read Delicate Escape. So my very last book for the month of March is Delicate Escape. With those 7 books picked, let's go ahead and do a quick recap. The first book I picked is A Rivalry of Hearts by Tassonia Odette. This is kind of a romance set in the fantasy world. Next, I picked In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is a contemporary romance and the second book in the Love Light Farm series. The third book I picked is Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is the third book in the Boys of Tommen series, which is a YA sports romance. The fourth book I picked is The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. This is the second book in the Molly the Maid series. The fifth book I picked is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The sixth book and the freebie that I picked is P.S. I Hate You by Lauren Connolly. This is a rom-com. And then finally, the last book I picked is Delicate Escape by Catherine Coles. This is a romantic suspense. All right, my friends, these are the 7 books that I picked in the month of March. I definitely have quite a few romance books to read this month. I'm not mad about that. I've been slumping a little bit with my reading, and usually romance books tend to bring me out of that slump. So I'm actually pretty happy with this. Yes, I have a ton of romances, but I also have a general fiction book that I've been wanting to get to by an author that I've been really wanting to try out. And that was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have a cozy mystery. And also, too, I have the next book in a lot of the series that I've started, like Saving Six, The Delicate Escape, and The Weeds, The Mystery Guest. All of those books have been, I put them on my cart because I have started so many series and I haven't continued with them. And my goal going forward was to try and get caught up on some of these series. So I think this little TBR for March is definitely going to help me do that. But yeah, I'm very happy with these books. I cannot wait to get started reading them. Let me know in the comments what you plan to read in the month of March. And also let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. Or if you saw some books on my TBR cart that I was holding up and I didn't get to, let me know what you thought about those and if you think I need to mood read those in March as well. But if you guys are still with me here at the end of this video, thank you all so much for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.